So this is a Keysight U1461A true RMS OLED handheld installation multimeter. It's a very useful gear to me. It's basically a very convenient multimeter with standard multimeter function with all the common measurement options. But the unique thing about this one is this part. It can apply the load with up to 1,000 volts and measure resistance up to 200, I think it's 200 gigaohm. So that's very useful for my application. And unfortunately, this meter, the display has died for a while. And when you turn the knob on, you can, if you turn it to a buzzer, the buzzer positions, you can hear when you short the probe, the buzzer sound, you can hear that. If you go to the light detection and bring the meter to the live wires, you can see that this light came on. Basically, the meter is totally functional well, but just display has died. So I did some search and turn out this is a very common problem for this kind of OLED screen. So fortunately, it's not too difficult to fix this. So this video I show you how did I fix this multimeter. So from some research, I found this replacement screen from AliExpress, and this particular screen is for U1461A or U1453A. So it's not the original one, it's a perfect replacement. And just the original screen, I remember, is kind of like a yellowish color, but the display this screen is bluish color. So I will show you later. So this screen cost about 120 Canadian dollar and take a couple of days or I think a week or so to arrive. And to replace the screen, it's pretty straightforward, I would say. And you basically need to remove the battery compartment and you remove the two screws. These two screws are hidden behind the battery compartment. Then you remove screw here, and another two screws on the bottom too. Then you can, once you remove 6 screws, then you can lift up the back cover. So you lift up the back cover here. And just then remember to disconnect this connector. That's for the buzzer in the rear, attached to the rear cover. And next, what you need to do is to take the PCB board out, to take the PCB assembly out. Just remember, you don't really need to remove this selection switch. And the PCB is fixed with 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 5 screws, or so there's another screws here. This one is it kind of behind this fuse. You might need to pop out the fuse to access this two screw. And then you need to remove these nuts, these 2 nuts or 3 nuts here. And this nuts connects the PCB to the terminal block, terminal input. And this is, I think this is for the remote probe function. So it's just 2 tabs, and you just push this tab this way, push the tab that way. So it will slide out from this binding post. So once you remove all the screws and tabs on nuts, then you can just lift out the PCB assembly out to the enclosure. And remember, you don't need to remove this rotary selection switch. And when you flip the PCB over, you can see the OLED screen has its own PCB assembly. It's like right here. What you need to do is just remove this 1, 2, 3, 4 small Phillips screws, and you can just lift up this assembly. There's this assembly attached to the main board with a header. I can show you later. So this is after I take off the screen. So this is the front of the screen assembly and the back of the screen assembly. So that's the header. This header is connected to the main board. Okay. So once you remove this, the next will be the tricky part is to remove the old screen. So the old screen is attached to the PCB with some double-sided tape. What you can do is put some IPA, just get some IPA alcohol into this gap here and to soften up the tape, and you can just pry this screen off. Okay, and the flip other side, remember the original screen did not have this capital tape here. This I put up for my new screen. So once the screen is flip over, and you can just cut this flex PCB and remove all the contacts from this all the solder pads that were here. Okay, that's not too difficult to remove the old screen. It's a little bit tricky to install the new screen because you don't want to damage the very fragile flex cable. I think the best way you can do is put your new screen, lay down the new screen to a flat surface like this, and get the flexible contacts aligned with the pins. Then just use a capital tape to tape down the flex cable and do the soldering its pins. Because the piece is pretty big, so the solder is not so difficult to just remove. Remember, don't overheat on it. Just put a lot of solder flux. If you are not feel comfortable, you can ask somebody else to do it for you. Overall, it's not too difficult. Just remember when you lay down the screen, you make sure the display is facing this direction, facing up, because you need to flip the screen, go the back side, and you still able to see the screen. So once you solder everything, double check the solder, make sure it has all good contacts. What I did, I put a few layers of capital tape over the contact, so just make it a little bit stronger, I guess. The original one did not have any tape or anything, just solder. Okay, so after you solder a new screen and then use a flip over, use a double side tape, tape the back to the back of the PCB, and put the header, put the assembly back to the main board, and just just quickly assemble them together, and turn on the mirrors. If you're lucky as me, you will see the display right away. So just remember the color is a little bit different from the original mirror, but I think it looks reasonably good to me. So that's quite it's not too difficult to really fix, and I double checked all the functions, and it all looks good. Here I connect the mirror to a 1 gig ohm resistor, and then turn the knob to 50 ohm first, 50 volts first, and just press the test button, and you can see it's apply 50 volts and measure exactly 1 gig ohm.